Hibs' journey in Europe has not started yet, but already they're flexing some of that European money as they're claiming to have broken their record transfer signing. Welcome back, guys, to Fog Football, and there is a new player in the door at Hibernian, and he is international striker Thibault Klidje.
Thibault Klidje from Lausanne. 24-year-old has signed a 3-year deal at Easter Road with the option to add another year. But you may be wondering, what was the previous record transfer? Well, apparently it was Ecuadorian defender LEITH de la Cruz back in 2007 for a fee of around 700k. Do you remember it well? 2007, not a bad year.
Decent year in football, but I'll be honest, I do not remember this guy. I don't recall him.
I just meant as a whole, it wasn't a bad year.
Maybe he was a flop. I just don't really recall the guy.
But I think it just shows you Scottish football when, you know, the transfer record fees are being broken from like 18 years ago. And some have stood in time for like over 20 years ago. The league's not moved forward. It feels like it doesn't feel like it has stagnated.
Yeah, you think about it. I mean, pretty much all the clubs in Scotland, just with inflation, really should be breaking their record transfers every couple of years. The fact that you've got the likes of Hibs, who have got this record that lasts almost 20 years ago, kind of shows that, you know, in the last 2 decades, what have Hibs done in terms of financially? Are they in a worse place than they were from 2007? I mean, maybe. Although they did flirt with, they actually were in the lower leagues as well, so that doesn't help.
They were more than flirting with them, man. They were in
definitely. They had a taste for sure.
But the striker has scored 12 goals in 39 appearances for Lausanne last season in the Swiss Super League and the Swiss Cup. He did get signed from Bordeaux to Lausanne. He made just 5 team appearances for Bordeaux, and those games did come in the French top flight. So yeah, he's got a lot of experience, man, across some of the leagues. Tell you, this guy, and Hibs wouldn't be spending a record amount of money on a guy if he was pish. But I tell you what, immediate pressure on him, I think. Because it's not often, well, I mean, it's since 2007, folks, 18 years ago. Rumour is that it could be 7 figures, so it'd be interesting to see if a team outside the old firm is spending over 7 figures.
Also, I think it's good to see clubs signing international players. Now, he's a Togo international, made 18 appearances for them, scoring twice. It's not like Togo or world beaters or anything like that, but here, they used to have Adebayor up front, and he was pretty decent plus. I don't think it really matters. Obviously, if you're signing a Brazilian international, you're getting a better player. But I still think it's a good look, regardless of the level, to be signing a player at an international level.
Well, here, if it turns
you must be half decent if you're at an international level, unless we're talking like San Marino here, who have improved over the years, by the way.
They have, but if it turns out to be half as good as Adebayor, it would be a great signing for Hibs. But this is what I expect, though, for like Hearts and Hibs and Aberdeen, but especially Hibs and Hearts, because they've had the takeovers. You know, they've got money put into the club. Tony Bloom for Hearts. What's he called? Bill Foley?
That's the one.
We call him Mick Foley there, but
Mick Foley was definitely a bigger legend.
Absolutely, but
Mick Foley's too tight. He wouldn't have paid 7 figures. Definitely not.
Is this guy going to get flung off the Hell in a Cell?
Guy would need to give his daughter 5 figures to get an operation, so I mean, chances of him paying 7 figures for some guy for Togo. What Mick Foley would have done is he'd have went on Twitter and begged everyone else to pay for the guy. That's more his style.
But Bill Foley, no, he puts his hand into his own pocket and he whips out and he slammed it down on the table and he wanted it, damn it. But Davy Gray said he adds extra pace and trickery to our front line and performed well for Lausanne last season. And at 24, he's got a lot of room for development. We want to help him progress and look forward to working with him moving forward. End of quote. Key thing is, you talked about European money, no guarantee. Aberdeen, beautifully may I add, defeated Celtic in the Scottish Cup final. Cal McGregor tears. I'll get that in one more time.
Are we still talking about that?
50th day anniversary since it happened, actually, I'll let you know. But banter aside,
that's worth celebrating.
Banter aside, Hibs don't have a guarantee of the money.
No, they don't, but they will make something just for playing in, even if it's just... Well, they're guaranteed 4 ties, 4 games, 2 ties, 4 fixtures. They'll make something.
No, they will.
I mean, even if they lose all 4 games, right? Yeah, it'll be peanuts, but you'll be getting a little bit of extra cash in there. But I think Hibs will be hoping to at least progress one of the ties. And I believe that they probably will. I think we'll see... I don't know if we'll see Hibs get into the Conference League, but I do think they will... I mean, if they lose in the first game of the Europa League, I think they could drop into the 3rd qualifying round of the Conference League. I wouldn't be surprised if they won that, and then obviously the playoff will be a lot more difficult.
When was the last time Scottish football had 4 teams competing in Europe?
I'm going to go out on a limb and say never. I never.
Not the 80s and the 90s, no.
Nah, obviously the last couple of seasons we've had 3. Back in 2008,
What about
we had 3 because Aberdeen made it into the groups. And
what about in the 80s though? When Dundee United and Aberdeen were doing things in Europe, were Rangers and Celtic not even in it? Is that what we're led to believe?
See, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I was knowledgeable on the different types of European competitions back then.
Yeah, no, same. Absolutely. I mean, there is people that would pretend that kind of business.
Oh, the European Super Cup and the Cup Winners' Cup and the the League Winners' Cup and the Cup Europe Second Place Trophy Cup Winners' Cup, and I don't really know. So potentially there was, but honestly back then,
not this century, folks. Put it that way.
But back then it was up until what 95, 96. Or maybe not. No, it was 90. Is it 92, 93 until they included
the Champions League.
And that's when. What year was it they started including more teams into the top? Was it 94?
What, the Champions League?
No, just in where they included more than one nation. I think it was 95, 96 maybe.
94, 95.
Anyway.
This just sounded like that fucking caricature Gary Neville meme. 94, 95, 96, 97, 93, 92, 94.
Point I'm trying to make is like back then you only had like one team in that. So you couldn't have any. It's not like you could have 2 teams in the top flight of European competition. So I think the chances of 4 teams representing Scotland in any year is very slim.
You know, it's the way though when you say like 95, 96 or like it just sounds good. No one says 21, 22 or 19 or 12. It just sounds a bit shite. But saying like 99, 97, it's got a bit of a ring to it. Matters more when there's money on it, my friends, and there's certainly money on this guy. Right, prediction time. Will he be a flop? A lot of pressure on him.
No, I'm going to imagine he'll come pretty good. If they're breaking their record transfer fee, let's give Hibs the benefit of the doubt. David Gray's done a great job, and I actually
done a great job.
I actually do hope he's a good signing because
it won't put them off.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to see clubs in Scotland actually risk it and spend a bit of money. Then it turns out the bot duds, and then it just makes them like, money shy in the future.
Yeah.
Because I actually think I'm not.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
I'm not taking the piss. I actually think Celtic may be suffering for that, because signings that we've seen so far, and even the rumoured signings, it's all been cheap. Like Nygren 1.5. I believe your new man Shin Yamada, who's going to join Celtic next week from the J League, he's only costing 1.5 million as well. I reckon that the Celtic board might be looking at the players they bought last season and they went, hold on, we spent 9.5 million on Adam Adair. That was certainly not worth it. He's shite.
It took you 8 minutes before you mentioned them there. I'm proud of you.
No, I do think that may be putting them off spending money, and I think the same thing could happen for Hibs. If Hibs bring this guy in and he sucks, they're going to be like, well, that's the last time we spent 7 figures and we get an absolute dud. So, I mean, hopefully, for Scottish football, it'd be good if we get a club outside the top 2 spending $1 million and they actually bring in a quality player. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, because you say what you want, but Hibs spending $1 million and Aberdeen spent, I think, about $1 million for Leighton Clarkson. That, I know they don't sign them in the quantity, but them signing players for $1 million ain't a million miles off with Celtic and Rangers do. Especially Rangers, because Rangers' ballpark, I think, recent years has been about $4 million.
That's been like their limit, I'd say.
Yeah.
They've had a couple of players more than that, but even Celtic, though, I mean, on average, I wouldn't say they'll get the odd £7 million player. Then last year they spent a bit of cash, but $1 million's a decent amount.
Oh, it is, of course it is.
Anyway. Well, here, I believe Hibs were willing to spend roughly about $1 million on Luke McCowan last year. Obviously, he decided to go for Celtic, but I believe that they were willing to spend roughly around that mark. So I know that they did offer. They offered Dundee 900k, and then obviously Celtic came in. I think Celtic offered 1.1 or something. I do believe Hibs were willing to offer the same, but he obviously chose Celtic. But it shows you that maybe clubs are willing to actually spend a bit of money. That's only how you're going to get better, right? It doesn't matter how good a manager you bring in, or how good a coach he is, or tactics, or a system, or your youth, right? You're not going to close that gap on those things alone. If teams want to get closer and get more competitive in this league, they are going to have to, at the end of the day, spend money. I'm not saying they need to go out and compete and they need to be, well, here, if Celtic spend 5, we're going to spend 10. I'm not saying they need to do that because that's suicidal.
Absolutely. Is an alarm is absolutely blasting there.
But,
Is that another signing for the West Wing?
It could be, but you do need to spend a bit of money, and that's what Hibs seem to be doing here. So fair play to them.
No, fair play to them. Good signing, good amount of money, and I tell you what, feels like the strongest the league's ever been in terms of competitiveness going into the next season.
I am looking forward to it. Should be good.
Because, you've got Falkirk scudding a team 7-0. They've signed correctly in my opinion. The only team...
I think Livingston have done well. Honestly, to me...
There's one team fucked.
Dundee.
Aye.
Dundee. Because they've lost the majority of their best players, haven't really replaced them, and they've got a manager who just...
I wouldn't trust you to run a McDonald's.
No.
If I'm the guy you want to put fries in the bag, then I'm not your guy.
Hold on, putting the fries in the bags, that's not one of the easiest jobs.
I mean, would you trust him?
I don't know.
Wouldn't trust him, guys. Anyway, till next
I don't
time.
trust them. No.
No.